Okay, Ravi, I promised I would make you a video to kind of school you on the art and the science of hash brown making. So we have a potato here. We have a potato here. These are the only two potatoes I have left. I got married a few weeks ago up in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. You were my best man. And before that, we went on a guy's weekend and we were eating breakfast and we had some awesome home fries, potatoes, fried potatoes, hash browns, whatever you want to call them. And I said, hey, I'm pretty good at making this stuff. I've got it down to a science. It's actually kind of a family tradition. So again, I'm back from that wedding, back from all the celebrations around that wedding, and I'm coming back home. I haven't really done groceries. Honestly, Anna and Cora aren't even around, but I did find 2 potatoes in the house. I also have some onions too. So I have 2 onions, 2 potatoes, 1 onion here. And again, let's dig on into it. So I have these 2 potatoes left. I've got a knife, just a knife. I'm going to take these 2 potatoes and kind of, you see, I'm kind of putting them lengthwise in parallel to each other. I'm gonna center this. I have no help. So I'm going to be the talent. I'm also gonna be the cameraman. I'm also gonna maybe do something in post for you. I don't know. So I'm gonna take this potato lengthwise, just cut it in half. Lay it flat like that. Do the same thing with this one. Lay that flat. So you kind of see like 4 halves of a potato just laid flat. So I'm gonna take each of these, cut these in half lengthwise. See that? Hope you can see that. And I've done that to the 4 of these. Now here's the secret, and this is where, you know, this is where the science and like the math and kind of the 3D geometry side of my brain kicks in. So like we're gonna employ some SAT genius here and take this potato. Actually, let me put this in the camera. Take this potato on the end, kind of give it a slide, and rotate that, and kind of, you see how I just kind of twist that? Move that aside. Do the same thing with this one. Kind of put that like that, lay that down, and rotate that. Oh my God, this potato's horrible. Again, these are the only 2 potatoes I have, so I'm demoing with the best I've got. I'm gonna slide this like that, lay this side down, and kind of rotate this like that. Slide it, rotate that down, and kind of take this other side and kind of like rotate it up toward me, give it a, like almost like a gymnast doing like a twist or something. And you see that I have these kind of quarter potatoes and they all look the same-ish. And so what I'm gonna do here is cut all of these. And I'm gonna cut them in thirds, each of these, just in thirds. Which means I'm gonna cut each twice, right? So if I cut each twice, then I have 3 pieces of each. Cut that twice, cut this one twice, this one twice, this one twice, and this one twice. And like, let's set aside that these potatoes kind of suck and they look absolutely beaten up, absolutely look horrible. I'm gonna weed out the bad parts of the end before I actually put this into the pan. Now, like, you'll see this one's actually a little wider, so I might give that like 3 cuts, just because it's a little wider. You know, potatoes aren't perfectly round, so if you have a little bit of extra kind of girth to, you know, one side of your potatoes, yeah, you can maybe give it a few more cuts. But the idea is that you're giving each kind of little morsel of potato, like when it actually gets on your plate, you want these like little, like a predetermined width, height, and length to each. So ideal, like I like cubes. Some people like long strands. Some people like to shred the potato. I like these like little, again, predetermined kind of length, height, width cubes of potatoes, almost like as perfect as I can make it. You know, you could do 1/2 inch, you could do 1/4 inch, you could do 1/8 inch. You know, the smaller they get, the more surface area you have for that oil in your pan to kind of like give it a crispness. And that'll be it for the follow-up video for you. So here's another part of the magic. So this is where I'm going to take each of these sections, and rotate that and kind of put them like this. So I'm almost giving it like a half turn in this direction and then a rotation. So again, half turn this direction, rotate. 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 So you'll see that, again, I have these kind of uniform sections. And again, mind you, these have been cut, you know, like that, kind of lengthwise. So I'm gonna kind of line those up so they're still like perfectly, they almost look like whole potatoes that haven't even been cut. So ideally, the goal of this is to kind of like I always want to keep the potato intact as I'm cutting it to its very finest morsel. So I'm gonna hopefully demo that. And again, these cuts here, I don't even have to do this twice. Like some of these are so narrow, I'm only gonna give these like one cut. You see that? One cut. Some of them I might give two just because of the width of these, but they, along this direction, they look pretty narrow. So I'm just gonna give them one cut. And again, so like ultimately I'm gonna cut all of these kind of in perpendicular fashion so I do achieve that kind of like cube effect. But for purposes of this particular cut that I'm doing now, I only have to cut it once lengthwise. Could have done it twice, no big deal, but I'm just deciding to do it once. Because again, and this is kind of where the 3D geometry and, you know, the art and science kind of collide and actually make this somewhat of like a perfect magic, you know, when it comes to like hash brown craftsmanship. I'm gonna take, actually, hopefully get this in the camera. Get this camera so you can see it. Maybe once I get to these like center ones, you can see it a little bit better. I'm gonna take this one in the end and actually just like turn this around so that, you see what I've just done? You can't see it here. Hopefully you can see it on these two. I'm just gonna pull this one aside, leave this one here, but rotate this one and just kind of like rotate it 180 degrees and put this back together. You see what I've done here? That's a half of a potato. That's a half of a potato. And again, it looks like I haven't even really like cut anything. It is a half a potato. That's what I started with when I made my very first cut into this potato. But you'll see that, I'll just repeat this here. Ignore these ugly spots. Those are horrible. I'm gonna weed those out later. Actually, this one that just kind of like popped out. So like you kind of see like, I already have like one of those morsels. That's ugly. Get that out here. But again, just slide this one over, this half, take this one, rotate it 180 degrees right along the course of the cutting board and synthetically like regenerate a half of a potato. Barring this little like section that just like, you know, like popped out. You see that? It's like almost like kind of like an igloo. But hopefully on this last one you can see a little bit better. Oh my God, these are horrible. Take this one and give this one 180 rotation, and I've recreated synthetically the ugliest potato that the world has ever seen, including you. So to finalize this demo on this perfectly ugly yet whole half looking potato, I'm just gonna cut perpendicularly along these and kind of create a hash brown morsel and weed out all the ugly parts at the very end of this. And you kind of see how that's just like popping out these like, it's like a very kind of awesome looking hash brown morsel. And that is the essence, that's the perfect art and science and magic of hash brown making, my friend. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this synthetically synthetically recreated half of a potato. Doesn't even look like I cut it, but I'm gonna cut it along it perpendicularly. And I've got these awesome, perfect yet ugly looking hash brown morsels. The art and the science and the magic of hash brown creation, my friend. So I'm gonna take this other one, get some of this out of the way for the camera, and look at that. Look how awesome that looks. Looks like I have a potato. I'm gonna slide the cutting board over so you can see that. How awesomely perfect that looks. Again, doesn't even look like I cut it. Like I could try to like kind of provide force. And again, dude, it doesn't even look like I did anything to that potato yet. If I get in here, really fine cut. I could go as fine as possible. I could go like a millimeter fine and get like a really fine, almost like shaved potato by doing this. And I'll show you some of the smaller bits, but also some of the larger ones. So like if you look at this, dude, look at that. Look at that. Look how fine that is. Look at this. You see all that? So it's kind of almost like a 1/4 inch in like 2 directions, but like almost like a millimeter in that other kind of dimension. And I've got one more half of potato left. And then I will end this horrendous video about the perfect art and the science and the magic of hash brown craftsmanship, my friend. So again, very good, yet ugly looking potato here, cut perpendicularly into the finest hash brown morsels that humankind has ever seen. And that is how you cut a potato for the best hash browns that you've ever had in your life. We haven't even gotten to the onion. That'll be the next video. Peace.